we listened on the way home. We normally don't listen to that shit show.
Oh God, that's what they call it, right?
And they played the Jeter rant, which I don't think I've heard since it happened.
Which was amazing.
I was
loved
listening to it and roaring.
I was embarrassed listening to it. 'Cause
Why?
I just don't like listening to myself.
I like when you're yelling and you're like, sports guy, and you say, but then you ran out of things to say, and you're just like, they're stupid.
Did I?
And it's like, stupid.
we dropped Opie off, and then I was around the corner. I was out of the car in 2 seconds. No, I didn't hear any more of it. But it just, I remember that day, and Joel Hollander, I think, was there, who was the head of the company at the time with the Hollander brothers, and Eric Logan was up from XM because he had been at the dinner the night before.
Yeah.
And I thought people knew all of it, but I've talked about how fucking CBS wanted me fired. They wanted me off the show. And I didn't realize that people didn't know that story because I twittered it. I was just kind of annoyed thinking about these fucking cocksuckers at CBS, and people were like, "I didn't know that. What happened? I didn't."
I don't know if they. I don't remember that. I remember that it just was starting to get a little weird.
It was.
I don't know if they officially wanted you off the show.
Oh, they did. It was when. Yeah, it was when.
I know they were trying to cut you back a little bit.
It was fucking.
They were just getting weird with the chemistry of the show for some reason.
They were trying to blame me because the ratings weren't good, and John Minnelli came on as the consultant.
Right.
So his job is to find something.
Right.
Oh,
that was what happened, and I guess that they thought it was like they're never going to blame themselves and go, well, we don't allow these guys to do anything. We fucking language police. We won't even give them a fucking homeless. They would never blame themselves. Whatever.
Yeah.
So,
but the ratings weren't that bad.
But I'm just whatever it was.
When people look back, they like to think that they were horrible. They really weren't bad. They expected more, but.
Well, we expected more out of them, too.
Yeah, exactly.
But, dude, the day one that we got there...
But we did our job as far as New York goes and a few other markets.
Yeah.
We had some fucking disasters, sure. We're pretty honest with everybody.
But they never truly liked me there. I'm a good judge of... believe me, dude.
But I don't think they liked any of us there, Jimmy. Maybe not. Maybe they liked you less.
Maybe.
I don't know, but... Yeah, we were in... All right, go ahead.
But it's okay. I talked to Minnelli on the phone that one day, and... He's like, I'm like, just say it, because I was so annoyed that he wouldn't come to me and say something. And he's like, well, I want you to start coming in. He wanted me to start coming in at 8 in the morning. He wanted me to start. I'm like, I'm not going to fucking start coming in at 8 o'clock in the morning. And he wanted me to start coming in for just the XM portion. So I don't know if a lot of people didn't know that, but they were trying to get me off. And he said, it's people in the company, too. So I know that's why I never liked Chiasano, even though I don't know if Tom was responsible. And I liked him on a personal level. Like, I really do have respect for what the guy did. He fucking, whatever, he's there for a great time. But I think that he wanted me off the show.
Wow.
And I don't like the Hollander brothers because I think they wanted me gone. And that fucking Dan May, I don't like any of those motherfuckers. The only one I liked afterwards was Minnelli because he goes, hey, man, you adjusted really well. And I shouldn't have, whatever. He kind of wrote me a nice email after that about it, which...
Then he attacked me, which was
which was a little psychotic.
What
I mean,
what are you gonna do?
He
wrong guy for the job. That's what he was.
I'm not saying shit because he'll start fucking writing me again. My life's much better without him writing me because I did nothing wrong with that fucking guy.
Yeah.
In the end, I just fucking did nothing wrong.
Well, the whole fucking thing was so bizarre. That's why I hated it so much. And they cut me down to 3 days a week. And Eric Logan, I was on the phone with one time. I love Elo.
Know why Minnelli was mad at me? Because they were changing formats, which means they were getting rid of the talk and going with the rock, but they were going to keep us. And he's mad that I didn't tell him.
Right.
I didn't even fucking know until literally a couple days before it happened. And then Chiasano, begged us not to say anything because they were trying to keep it a secret from everybody. So then Minnelli thought, but at that point it was too late. I didn't know until almost the last second. And then what was I supposed to do at that point?
That's just a blur to me.
Right.
It's a fucking...
And then Chiasano, because I did say something about, I always worry about people that I do like around me. And he's like, don't worry, Minnelli's going to stay on and, we're going to figure it all out. And then, the opposite happened. So then, Minnelli, viciously attacks me. I had his best interest always at hand. But it was a weird situation for everyone.
It was a toxic situation. I fucking hated them.
They were desperate, and they hired us knowing they didn't like us, I think.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right.
And I think we did pretty well. I'll always say that. You know, we didn't do well in Chicago and some other places, but New York, we certainly had good enough ratings for them to sell it and be successful with.
The rest of the station blew.
And that was with all the stuff they did to us. You know, the rules were drastically different for us than they were for Howard. And Howard was already bitching when he was on his way out. He couldn't take it anymore, and they took that and really knocked it down.
Yeah.
And they're never gonna blame themselves. Like
Of
they would
course
never
not.
say we've made this environment so fucking corny for male talk that no guy who's not is gonna enjoy this. It's fucking fruity.
Yep.
So they cut me down. I talked to Elo, and I was like, "What, are they gonna fucking fire me?" He goes, "No, you're not gonna get fired." He said, "You're gonna have a future at XM, even if it's not with the Opie and Anthony show." I don't know if I ever told you I had that conversation with Elo, but he told me that.
As he's packing his bags.
Yeah.
He goes,
I love radio.
The whole thing is insane.
He goes, "You'll always have a future with XM
As long as I'm here.
as long as I'm here."
Oh, wait. Where you going?
Do you like
Elo?
Chicago, Jim? So that's why when I was warming up for HBO, I was gone for 3. But people didn't notice because I was doing a fucking Friday, and then I would do Sunday, fly home Monday. So I got my 3 days in. So people didn't even notice. But that was mandated by those fucking cocksuckers at fucking CBS Radio, and believe me, I would brutally name names if I knew exactly which ones it was. But I only have my
again,
idea.
it's,
I would
you know,
brutally name
Again,
names.
it's a bunch of people. No one takes
Brutally name
responsibility.
names.
Not just here, the corporate environment is set up in a way
Yeah.
you can't really point a finger at anybody.
it's
It's always
awful.
vagary and
Plausible
people hiding
deniability.
in the shadows and stuff. So
And, it ended. It went on from like January or February, and then ended in June after Homeless Charlie, because then we thought
Right.
we were fired for good, for real, and then it just never got spoken about again,
Yeah.
and they never said another word about it. So I mean, I did kind of like the fact that they didn't shit can the show. I did respect that, and it was like I can't believe how many people didn't know this, but they fucking didn't come to me and go, "Hey, look, could you do this different or that different?" That was what my problem was. If they would have said, "Look, could you do this?" and I went, "Fuck you," that's different.
Yeah.
But
I
they
don't even know
didn't
what
say
they were
that.
looking for.
They thought that my energy was too aggressive or whatever for the morning.
What?
Exactly. But it's like, sorry, I've been doing satellite radio where we replay all day, and this is I'm not
Yeah.
thinking about your fucking stop sets, you faggot motherfuckers.
Well, that was the most important thing.
Ugh.
That's why, like, the satellite part was all fun and games and shit like that, especially back then. And the regular radio part, what goes out over the air that's the last part of their equation. What they're concentrating on is sales and billing and fucking sponsors being incorporated into the show. So, you know, when you're doing the show part, that doesn't matter. They'll throw on anything. And they prove it by just going, well, we'll just change formats. Who gives a shit?
They don't
as long
care.
as we're billing.
Yep, they don't care about the content.
No.
Sorry, it's not my fault you fucking couldn't sell anything but cars for kids. Sorry, guys. Sorry, that's
Thank
the best
God
you could
for that
do
song.
with your shit music format. Sorry.
we knew what to do to be successful, but they didn't want it that way. I remember I knew we were in trouble when they were putting so many rules on us that had nothing to do with the FCC, and we finally demanded a meeting with the lawyers, and Tom Chiusano set up, and he's like, "This will be good. We'll be able to figure some stuff out finally." And we went up to their office, and they just gave us a speech why we can't do anything. I'm like, this meeting was supposed to be one of these meetings where we could figure something out together.
Was that the meeting
And
with...
they were so closed-minded. They didn't want to listen to anything we said. So then I finally looked at Chiusano. I'm like, why are we even having this meeting? We already know this. We're trying to like break down some of this shit so we could do what we know what to do.
Was that the time we had the meeting? Because I was only allowed to go to one of those with fucking Dan Mason and the lawyer and
all the lawyers
and
came
Tracy
up from
Clardy
Washington.
was there.
Yes.
And
we were pleading our case like, you're killing us. And a lot of this stuff has nothing to do with the FCC. You got to let us fucking do our thing. And I'm not trying to make excuses because people will spin this, certainly. They always do, no matter what we say. But we knew we were in trouble if we weren't able to do what we know what to do. And they didn't want to hear anything. I'm like, well, I thought this is what the meeting was about.
and they
So
fucking...
you could hear us and change some rules here.
They hated me when I was talking to... Because I remember talking to Tom in that meeting and talking about the racial stuff that we could not do.
Right.
And I'm like, but you allow Asian guys to make fun of Asian guys and black guys, but we get dumped. And he goes, well, it's kind of like the thinking. I'm like, he's like, you know, it's kind of like, hey, man, my brother can make fun of me a certain way, and I can make fun of my brother, but if other people do it, And I said that's how you're going to dictate radio policy.
Right.
I'm like, would you put that in writing? Like that's what we
Right.
And he goes, no, we're not putting that in writing.
Of course.
And then the lawyer, I was asking about breasts being in the studio. Why can't we have nude girls?
Right.
And he goes, well, because we can get fined. And I'm like, do you know one instance in history where a fine has been levied because of implied nudity?
Yeah.
No, there are none, but we're being cautious.
We're-
And then afterwards he goes, well, we're not pornographers. And I told Tom that his policy, I said to him in the meeting, I'm like, that's condescending and racist to think that way, that only blacks can make fun of black. It was really
Yeah, and then
no yelling, no screaming, no rudeness,
Right.
but they fucking hated my guts at CBS.
but just to lay it on the table, they didn't like us much better, Jimmy. They might have hated you the most. I don't know, but they certainly didn't like us much.
No,
either.
I know. I don't think that they liked anybody on the show, to be
But-
very honest.
Yeah, but they and that-
they tried to scapegoat me, and I know I didn't like what Manelli wrote about you at all. The only reason I gave him more of a pass is because he wrote to me afterwards and said, I like the way you've handled this. I probably shouldn't have done that. It was like he wrote me a nice email afterwards, which they never do, which guys like that in the business never do. So I never got one from Tom. I never got an acknowledgement from Tom. I never got a word from any of them.
Right.
So that's why I fucking hated regular radio. I made a lot more money there than I'm making only on satellite. I don't give a fuck. Hated it.
I remember the breast thing.
Sorry,
We-
I'm yelling.
We said, prove that we even have a girl topless in the
Right.
studio, and then we jokingly said,
Right.
we're going to make believe they're top. We're going to make believe.
Yeah.
We're going to make believe the girls are in studio, so there's not even a woman
Have
in
a
studio.
completely fake thing where it's like, all right, the girls are coming in. Oh man, that's hot.
Wow,
Like,
look, she's taking her top off,
Yeah.
like we're doing right now,
all right,
right?
take your top off.
Oh
yeah.
wow, and they said no, you can't even do that. I'm like, that's crazy talk.
Yeah.
We can't even make believe that a girl is topless in the
Yeah.
studio, and the girl's not even in the
A
studio.
girl isn't even there.
It's just
so-
us three. We're gonna make believe a girl just entered and is getting topless, and you're telling me we can't even do that? And they said yes. So that's why we came up with all that goofy shit. As it was mocking them, really.
It became started that way, and then it just
Yeah.
became the way the show was going. It was a miserable time.
Rock
It was
Scream
miserable.
Tuesday and all that.
Horrendous.
That was to mock the fact that we can't do anything.
Yeah.
These were what we called the dark months.
God, that was fucking
Yes.
Oh,
Horrid.
But then it just became a thing where guys would do like rock screams, and every time I would literally would have rather heard a clitoral circumcision noise.
Yes. Well, who wouldn't?
That fucking abomination of a fucking experience.
Yeah.